Hi, I'm Dr. Preston Parry. This is a video about who I am and what I believe. The quick version is I'm a father and husband, an inventor, uh, a nerd, I admit it, and of course a fertility specialist. I've helped more families than I can count have children over the years. I also openly admit the obvious that I look about 10, 20 years younger than my actual age, so I always have to prove to people I'm not Doogie Howser. In fact, that was one of the first things I always felt I had to overqualify myself, when meeting people. And I've achieved a lot over the years. I triple major Cornell, graduate work at Columbia, published New England Journal of Medicine by 25, multiple awards, all those types of things. But as I've done this longer and maybe just have experience and years behind me, I've come to realize that people want to know a lot more about how much you care than they care about how much you know. And so, if wanting to know sort of my passion and compassion when it comes to women's health and fertility, there are probably two events in my life that kind of changed me. The first was actually being on the other side of the equation, so to speak, and where women's health became personal. About 3 decades ago, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. This was back when I was in college, and I remember being scared, confused, and really there was just a vulnerability with healthcare at that time that I just never want anyone else to go through. And that was one of my factors in becoming a specialist in women's health. The other event that kind of transformed me, or really it was two events, were the birth of my sons, Marcel and Lucas. And this is a picture that actually means a lot more to me than just what it would mean to everyone. I mean, having their firstborn and holding them in their arms, that's amazing and wonderful and awesome. Of course, having that firstborn, but part of it was that it also reflected a change for my wife Dominica and myself. Um, we were actually dog people. I know it seems silly to say, we have a champion Vizsla, a rescue Roddy mix. Really love dogs, and weren't as gaga about children as some people can be. And there's nothing wrong with being either way. And granted, I've changed, and now I'm crazy about not only my own kids, but all the families I help. But at the same time, you know, Dominica was even less of a baby person than I was. She'd play with dogs, any puppy, no matter where, that was her thing. Um, and this picture, where she's holding Marcel just after he was born, that is actually the very first time she held a baby. It changed our lives. This isn't to say that being new parents is easy. In fact, it was a few more years before we were ready for another. And by that time, we were in our early 40s. In fact, I remember doing my wife's antral follicle count, and it was three. For those of you not as far along in this journey and haven't done that particular test, that's not good. I've written ovarian reserve testing chapters. I knew what that meant. And in spite of that, we've been fortunate enough to have Lucas when my wife was 41. And it's wonderful to have made it to the other side. But at the same time, if I could be scared with everything that I know and all the ways that I know how to stack the deck in our favor, I know how hard that is for couples who are less familiar with the reproductive process. And so much of what they're experiencing is a loss of control and having fear. Um, there's so many issues that nobody talks about. I know what it's like, you're having sex and you're thinking, this isn't going to change the outcome. That period comes and you're thinking to yourself, my body is letting me down. I get it. Um, And I think that's one of the important things for me. I not only want to help couples have babies and be an amazing doctor, I think one of my core goals, and those are important, again, I want those too, but one of my core goals is I want people to have understanding and find peace, which is hard in medicine. One of the things we've done to help that is the Parryscope technique. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, we combine it with a broader approach with ultrasound. We can figure out most of what we need to know about female fertility. 15 minutes in the office, single visit. It's accurate, gentle, safe, and overwhelmingly preferred to the alternatives. And beyond that being one of the things I'm feeling most privileged to help with, I think it makes a world of difference for women. In fact, actually, an editorial recently in our national journal commented that this may very well be the future of fertility testing in fertility clinics. So I certainly believe it is. But regardless of whether you have that test or whatever path you choose, I hope to meet you. But however life plays out for you, get support. Don't go through this alone. There are answers, there are solutions, there's understanding, and there are ways of finding peace. And I hope that you find all those things as well as have the family of your dreams. Thank you.